Hi, and welcome to the 10 square metre workshop. Like many of us, I've played around with sharpening over the years, but never quite taken it seriously. I thought it was time to change all that and invest in a proper sharpening system. And by that I mean a Bob Cosman style sharpening system. And that involves Trend 300,000 grit diamond plate, a couple of Japanese ceramic stones, a bottle to spritz the water with, some inhibitor to stop that causing rust, a honing gauge, a cleaning block, and I'll also need a stand to hold the stones in place while using them. But where am I going to keep all this stuff? Distributed around the workshop, I'll have to reassemble it every time I want to sharpen. I think it's here a case for having a box to keep it all in. I'm not usually keen on storing things in boxes, but this is more of a system, so I think it's justified. First thing to do is to dump that big spritzing bottle. Instead, I bought this 200ml one from Amazon. Very cheap and very good quality. It's got a built-in lock. I'm going to make the case out of this old piece of 6mm veneered MDF and this scrap of 5mm MDF. It's a good opportunity to use up small scraps. Cutting out is of course done on my trusty MFT. That resulted in 6 accurately cut pieces, and I'm ready to build the box. This is done using the standard glue and pin. First a ribbon of glue, spread out, line up, and pin. I'm using 18mm pins for this, and you do have to be quite accurate. Once the 4 sides have been attached, the top and bottom can be put on. Normally I'd have the bottom fit inside for a neater finish, but in this case it won't matter, as will become clear. After the glue had cured, I sanded it down all the edges and corners and got it ready for veneering. Yes, that's right, I'm going to veneer it. Why? Well, like many folks, I've collected veneer over the years, always meaning to get round to using it, and never have. Well, today's the day. I've done a little veneering in the past, but not much. Now's the time to do a whole box, just to see how it goes. There's an order for doing these things, and the first is the bottom. First I cut it slightly over size, an even spread of glue, and lay it on carefully. Press it down, moving it around to make sure there's no down spots. And then a melamine board covered in cling film to stop it sticking on the top. Followed by clamps, of course. Then it's the waiting game again. Once dry, I trim back the veneer using a ruler as a spacer. This leaves a very small overhang, which can be cut back with a sanding block. It's important to sand towards the block and make sure the other end is supported, otherwise it will crush. The 2 ends come next, which I shall be doing one at a time because it's less fiddly. With the ends and bottom done, I can move on to the sides. I did debate the grain direction and decided on having it upwards. A bit unusual. For the sides I'm trying a slightly different technique. I'm putting glue on both parts to make sure it's fully covered. A firm press down, then the cling film, then the top board cut just over size. before clamping once again. After attaching the last piece and giving it a light sanding overall, I run it through the bandsaw and cut its head off. Because there's going to be a lot of water around it, I'm going to give it a varnish finish. 2 coats of varnish and a day to dry each time, and I have my box ready for inserts. I could of course made these out of wood, but 3D printing is quick, cheap and waterproof, so that's what I did. The parts for retaining the cleaning blocks I did make out of wood, which I glued down. With the inserts done, I can do the furniture, hinges on the back and catches on the front. I shall be machining the holder out of a couple of pieces of this corian, cut to size. The top one has been machined with a recess to hold the plate, with some of the bottom machined away. That's to take the gauge. It locks in there. The other is machined clearance for the jig and for the 2 feet, which are printed in TPU. This stuff really does machine nicely. The 2 blocks were located together using first small dowels, then screwing together with 4mm bolts. Yes, I could have glued them together, but this is engineering, you know. Fully assembled, you can see how the jig stores in the base. Turned the right way up, the stone fits snugly into the base. No sign of movement and quite good friction. That should hold it in place. As you can see, the cleaning blocks store in the lid and everything else fits inside. This might be seen as overly complex, a box just to store sharpening kit in, but I enjoyed it and I learned a lot about veneering. Yes, projects like this extend your knowledge, and that's what it's all about. That's all for this time. Bye for now.